Hi and welcome to this week's edition of Bitrix24 Live. Today's session is going to focus on the Bitrix24 CRM, and it's the fifth part of our remote working series. So we're going to have a look at a general overview of all the different areas inside the CRM, so leads, deals, contacts, companies, quotes and invoices. So I'll have a review of all those modules. And then we'll also have a look at ways of generating leads, the tools that Bitrix24 provides. So things like social media, CRM forms, website widgets such as live chat, and then how you would generally progress through a lead, generate a deal, and then we can have a look at the contact and company management. So this session is going to be an hour long, and just before we start, a little bit of information about who we are. My name is Andy and I am the support manager here at Bitrix24 Gold Partners Interface. We have an office in the US, in the UK, and in the UAE. And you can find our contact details on the screen here. And we offer everything from pre-sale support. So we offer demonstrations to ensure that Bitrix is the perfect fit for your business. And we also offer licenses, implementation and installation services. So if you're wanting to know how to implement Bitrix into your business, we can certainly help with that. We can install the on-premise edition of Bitrix24, and we then also offer premium support services. So things such as telephone support, ticketing support. We can help you and assist you whilst you're using Bitrix24. So that's a little bit about us, just a little short introduction. As I say, this Tuesday session is solely going to focus on the CRM and give you a little bit of an insight into the different features of the CRM. We have these sessions that focus on different modules on a Tuesday. If you are wanting to ask any questions with regards to Bitrix24, if it's not with regards to the CRM, then it's best if we have those sessions on a Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We can answer those questions on any of the different modules inside Bitrix24. So let's get started. We are in a cloud version of Bitrix24 today, and it is a commercial package, so we can have access to the CRM automation and the different areas within there. So as I say, this session is going to focus solely on the CRM. So let's get started and let's just have an overview of the different modules inside the Bitrix24 CRM. So we'll start off with leads, and I'll just give you a little bit of an insight of what leads are used for in Bitrix24. So they're generally used for brand new inquiries. So if you have an inquiry for a product or service that has been made from one of many channels, we'll have a look at the different tools that Bitrix provides a little bit later on. But if you've had a new inquiry, this is the place to put it. So you can create leads manually by clicking on the add button in the top right hand corner. So that might be if you receive a telephone call for inquiring about a service that you offer, you would add a lead manually. You can import them, or you can generate them from your website using some of the different tools. So leads are brand new inquiries. And then what we want to do with that lead is essentially qualify it through a series of different stages. So the idea with regards to the lead. So let's just have a look at this one here. We have a complete CRM form. The idea with the lead is collecting as much information as possible that is associated to your inquiry. So you can see here on the left hand side we have a whole range of different fields, and this area on the leads is to gather that information that you need to qualify the inquiry, because as you can imagine, not every inquiry is going to be a good one. There are time wasters, there are people that don't have enough budget, and the idea of these leads is to qualify them, as I say. So you would necessarily set up your own custom stages of qualifying this particular lead. And whilst you're doing so, you can trigger some automation off, which we'll have a look at in a little bit. So you can send out emails automatically, you can send SMS messages automatically based on the movement of these qualification stages. So you can see here we would progress the lead through to initial contact, and then again we would collect some information, maybe book in some activity whilst we're talking on here. So we can say in here we might want to schedule a call for tomorrow morning, so we can book in 10 a.m. and let's call it an intro call. Discuss the offer, click on save, and that's the whole idea. So whilst you're moving your way through this particular set of qualification stages in your lead, you're booking activity in to discuss the potential of a sale, and then once you've discussed it, you can obviously click on and save the activity. You can write some notes, so we could put client has shown some interest, and then what we will do here is we'll actually tag another user in Joe Smith. Please can you send a proposal? So we can add some notes. When I tag a user in, that Joe Smith's going to get notified, and what we can do now is we can move it to the shown interest and follow up one. So you can see there we're progressing this lead through, and as you can see, it's gone from the new lead stage to our shown interest follow up one stage. And again, we can click back into it, and maybe what we want to do this time is we want to rename the lead, so we can do that here. And let's just say we want Bitrix24 training inquiry. So we now name this lead a Bitrix24 training inquiry. What we can also do on here is, let's just say training, and we're going to charge $100 an hour, and the potential inquiry is about 8 hours worth of training. So that's set the value of this particular lead in here. And we can collect this information as we progress this lead through. And you can see our next stage here is arrange a demonstration. So what we've moved it along to arrange a demonstration with the customer. As I've mentioned before, all these stages are customizable to meet your requirements. This is just a demonstration that we've set up. But you can see when I moved it to this particular stage of the lead, it's actually created as a task. And it's done this using the automation tools, which I'll have a look at in a moment. But you can see here, if I click on a task, it's made the person Jack Smith responsible for it. And you can see in here that we have a little bit of information. So Jack Smith has now got to carry out that particular task to arrange the demonstration. It might be that we book a meeting in on here. So let's just say demonstration, and we could say remote. Show training. show training manual. So you can see whilst I'm doing this, I've booked that meeting in, we can close that task out. And this is what we should be doing, because we should be automatically creating things to stop the manual process of trying to qualify this particular lead. So now that we're at the penultimate stage of our lead, let's just have a look at what automation is in place. So if I click on automation in here just to show you how this will work, is that you can see based on each lead stage, we have new lead. So when we create a lead, it starts off at the new lead stage. And then we automatically send a thank you email out. So it might be that you get your inquiries from your website. So if an inquiry comes from a CRM form on your website, you can have Bitrix automatically create a lead and then automatically send the person who submitted that form an email back. What we then have is in 5 days' time, we have another email sending automatically to maybe just politely follow up without having to send an email manually again. And once that email has been sent, it's going to automatically move the status to initial contact. That is then going to book an introduction call. So I booked a call in a moment ago manually, but we can have the process automatically set that introduction call in 2 days' time of it arriving in the initial contact stage. So once we spoke to the customer, we would generally move it on, and then again, it's going to schedule another call. Finally, we move it to where we are at the moment, arrange demonstration. It created that task, so it created that collect demo requirements task, but it also sent an email out. So just if we click on configure automation, let me just show you what is possible whilst you're moving your lead through these particular custom stages. We can have everything from scheduling calls, creating tasks, sending an SMS message internally, scheduling meetings in. But we can also contact the customer at any point. We can send them an automated robocall. We can send them an SMS message automatically. We can send an email, which we have done a lot, but that's going to be one of the most popular automation. And building this automation flow out is going to be fundamental to your qualification process, ensuring that you are going to close out and convert as many leads as you can. So we'll come back to the automation a little bit later on during the process. But as you can see here, where I'm at the moment, for those of you that have just joined, we've got a lead that has come into our system. We have collected all the information that we're going to need about this inquiry. We've had a couple of phone calls with them. We've booked in meetings with them. So you can see here we've booked this particular meeting. We can close that out. All for the purpose of qualifying this lead. Now the next step is really the most important, because when you decide that you want to complete the lead, you're going to have one of two options. You can junk the lead. So as I mentioned, obviously not every inquiry that comes through into the system you are going to be successful with. So in that case, we would junk it. Once we junk it, we can give it a reason for why we junk it. And that then allows you to report on how many junk leads that you may have gone through in a particular month. And one of your reasons might be that they don't have any budget. So what we can do then is actually pull up a mailing list and create a mailing list for all those junked leads that have a reason of no budget. And then when an offer comes up to save them some money on the services that you offer or products, we can use the CRM marketing tool to fire out an email and entice them in, because they might not have had any budget in April, but when an offer comes on in May, you can send out an email marketing you can send an email marketing template out to them to entice them to try and convert that lead once a sale is on. So like I say, not every lead is going to be won, so we can junk it. However, what the aim of a lead is to essentially qualify it through these stages, and once you're happy with qualifying it, what you can do then is essentially convert it into a deal. Now, we classify deals here as qualified opportunities. A lot of people use deals for different things, but one of the most common is using deals for your qualified opportunities. You've taken the leads as qualifying them, and now you say, yeah, these are showing some intent to purchase. Now what we can do here is click on generate deal, but what we can also do is we can click on deal, contact and company. So what that will do is it will create a deal, but it will also create a contact and a company inside Bitrix. And how it will do that is it will take the information that you've collected on this left hand side here. So you can see name is Thomas and the last name is Taylor. If we'd collected company name, then we would most likely want to generate a deal, a contact and a company. And in doing so, it will associate all three together. So it will create the company with the telephone number and email address. It will create the contact with the first name, last name, telephone and email address, and also create the deal. The deal is the opportunity that you're trying to close to make the sale. So that is how we work with it here at Intraface. And doing so you can see here, I've not collected the company name, so I'm going to want to create a deal and a contact. So let me click on that. And now what Bitrix is asking me to do is it's asking me, where do I want to create this deal in terms of the pipeline in Bitrix? So the deals inside Bitrix can have multiple pipelines. If you think of pipelines in a way of segmenting your opportunities, so let's say, for example, this inquiry is about somebody purchasing Bitrix24 training. Now, how we would categorize that kind of opportunity in Bitrix is we would have a pipeline called Bitrix24 add-on opportunities. So that then is going to place this inquiry into the Bitrix24 add-on opportunities pipeline. And there are a number of reasons why we're going to drop this opportunity into that particular pipeline. Not only can we see a funnel of all the qualified opportunities and the value of that particular funnel, but we also have a different sales process to close the Bitrix24 training inquiry. And what I mean by that is we might have an inquiry for a license. We work on license inquiries pretty differently to how we would work on a sales process for somebody that's inquiring for training. So if you can put this in context of what your business does, what it sells, so if it's a service, maybe you have different kinds of services. If it's real estate, maybe you have house sales and rental opportunities. You could create two pipelines for rentals and sales. So any inquiry that comes through your website, phone, email, you can then qualify them and drop those qualified inquiries into sales and rentals. That's quite a popular one that we deal with. If another example that you may use is, like I say, services. We have different services in here for training, licenses. We have cloud opportunities, somebody interested in cloud product or an on-premise. It's completely up to you how you want to split it. I'm going to drop it into the Bitrix24 add-on opportunities because it's a training inquiry. So let's click on save. We have a required field, so interested in training. Click on save. we had some custom fields from the last time that we've run that. But what you can see here is it's automatically created the deal. Okay, so you can see I've got the deal purple tab up at the top. You can see the name of the deal, the pipeline that it is in. But furthermore, what you can see is it's created the contact, Thomas Taylor. So if I just come out of here, just go into the contacts here, and let's just see what I mean by that association. So if I just close this filter out, we'll be able to see the contact that it's created. It's automatically passed through their telephone number, and it's automatically created their email address. Now if I click into Thomas Taylor here, if I click into the deals at the top, I can then see that this Bitrix24 inquiry has been created and associated to this contact. Now this is perfect if, for example, Thomas was going to call up. All you would need to do is search for Thomas in here. So we click on Thomas, find them, and then pull up their calling card, and then you would be able to see any outstanding opportunities. So it's 3 clicks to get to any opportunities that currently are associated to them. I've just got a couple of questions that come through. Is it possible to make leads visible only to one employee? Right now when I create one, everyone can see it. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to cover that in this session just with regards to permissions. And also, can you filter contacts that different employees can see only those? So you can't, you can create filters at the top up here just whilst I'm in the contacts. You can say I want to find all contacts that Max Smith is responsible for, but you can't as such lock those filter on a permission by permission basis. But you can hide only leads, contacts, deals, companies to those that they are responsible for on there. So I'll come to I'll come to those in a moment. And then I got another question. Hello, we need to send a congratulatory message when the contact turns particular years old. How is this done? I might not be able to cover that in today's session, but I can take that and put it into Thursday's live session, and maybe you can work up an example of how to do that. So it just might not have time today because we just need to run through the sales process in here. So let's go back to explain what we've done. We've received the lead. We've qualified the lead through a series of different stages. We have sent some emails automatically to the user, to the contact, and also booked in some meetings and things automatically. And then we've qualified that lead because we feel that they're a good lead. And based on that, we have generated a contact in the system and created a deal. Now we're using deals, as I mentioned, as qualified opportunities. This is just one way. There are different ways that you can use deals. But as I mentioned, when we converted that lead into a deal, we chose the Bitrix24 add-on opportunities pipeline. Now you can see here that we have some stages again: unassigned, spoken, negotiate opportunity, promised opportunity, and pending closed. Again, these are all customizable for your own business. You can tailor these stages for your own business. But furthermore, what is really powerful tool inside Bitrix is that I mentioned that we would work on an inquiry, a qualified opportunity for training, very differently to one that came in for maybe a license. So if I clicked on on-premise opportunities here, what you can see is that we have a complete set of different stages within this pipeline. And again, if I go into cloud opportunities, you will see again that we have different stages. And again, if I went to pre-sales, you can see in here again, we have a complete set of different stages. And that allows us to tailor our sales process to ensure that we generate the sale for the inquiries that come in for this particular category of opportunity. So if I go into the one that we saw, and again, this will all depend on your stages. So again, we have some automation that is in place in here. So we have a notification, we schedule a call in. So if I go back to the general tab here, you can see that a call has been scheduled in with this particular client. So I can call on here, click and dial out if I was to have Bitrix telephony. But again, the idea is generating the sale from this. So I can click on spoken to, and again, it will move the stage over. And it might be that we get to negotiate opportunity. We might have a required field, so webinar is booked. What we can do there at negotiating inquiry, and what's quite common in a sales process, is that you are going to want to maybe generate a quotation for this particular customer. So you can see at the moment we have training, $800. And now what I want to do is generate a quotation. If I click on the quote button at the top up here and click on continue, what you'll see here is that it's automatically again associated this quote to the contact. You can see the original lead that this quote is going to be attached to. You can see the deal that has been attached. And you can see the product. So we added a product when we were qualifying that particular lead. And the product is training, 8 hours at $100. Now what we want to do is we want to be able to generate a PDF of this quotation. Now Bitrix offers some great tools to be able to create your own PDF template. And if I just show you how this is done, you click on add new template here. I would generally recommend to load a template from a library, whichever one of these regions that's going to suit you. And what that will do is it will allow you to see a default template on here. Click on download and it's going to come out as a Word document. So you generate and build your templates up using a Word document, and then you would upload it, and then it would be ready to be used inside the particular document library itself. So I click on document, click on quote, and then that will use our template that we've created. And we'll be able to see a preview of this particular quotation, and then we'll be able to download as a PDF, or we can download as a Word document, or alternatively, you can send it straight from Bitrix. So you can send via email. It will automatically put the contact in who's associated to this particular quote, and you can see here that it's automatically attached the quote to the email. If you had a template, you can say standard quote, and then we would put out a specific template. So you can create your own templates inside Bitrix as well for sending out emails. If I click on send, that will then send that particular email to the contact, and what I can do is update the status of this particular quote. So far we've got the lead, we've qualified it, we've generated the deal as our opportunity, and then we've worked our way through the deal, so you can see in here, to the negotiate opportunity stage. And whilst doing that, we've also generated a quote. So you can see in here any quotes that are assigned to this opportunity. So everything's clearly mapped and clearly associated with one another. And again, if I went to the contact, not only now can you see any deals that are currently outstanding and where they are in your sales process, but you can also see any quotations that have been associated from that particular deal. So you can click into there and review it. So again, if Thomas was to call up, especially if you had Bitrix telephony connected up, it would pull up Thomas's calling card. It would show on that calling card that appears in the middle of the screen any outstanding opportunities and any quotes. So the person answering the phone already knows who's calling and what current activity have they got in terms of any deals, quotes associated to them. So it's a fantastic way if you are using Bitrix telephony. Got a question. Could you please help me how to check how many calls were made by an employee in a day? The best way to do that is if I was to book a call in on this particular deal, for example, and in here, so we could say follow up quote. It's going to be an outbound call for tomorrow at 11 a.m. at 11:05. And what you might want to do to check how many calls have been made by a particular agent is you can click into activities at the top. Then click, if you don't see activities, sometimes it can be in the more menu item here. But if you click into activities, then we can set the start date for the current day. And then in the type, set outgoing calls. Click on search, and then you would be able to see here we have 3 by Max Smith. So that's how you would generally check to see all the outgoing calls made. Especially if you've got Bitrix telephony connected up as well. When that person makes that call, so clicks on the number to call or sets a dialing list. So in leads, you can set your own dialing list here. So click on here, start dialing, and then it would provide me with a list of all the leads. Click on call. They will all be recorded in the activities section here. So that's a good way of doing it. The alternate method, if you want to just check how many calls you've made, go into the telephony module, click into call details at the top of that page, and then you'll be able to see and hear all the calls that have been made, because Bitrix has an option that if you are using their telephony, you can record all calls as well. So let's go back to where we were. We have Bitrix24 training inquiry. We've generated a quote. We've scheduled an outbound call to be made. Let's just say that we've made that call and they want to go ahead. So what we would do is we would move it to promised opportunity. And what we would do as well is go into the quote and we would move it to approved. So you can see here we have another quote that's been created, and that's been created using the automation rules on here. So you can see we have an automation rule. So let's ignore the second quote that's been made. We've been promised the opportunity. Now we have an activity to prepare the documents that we need to close out this particular sale. So we've generated the quote. Now what we want to do is generate the invoice. So in the top right hand corner again, click on the down arrow and you can click on invoice. So that's going to pretty much do exactly what we were specified before. So if I say, I'm not 100% sure if this will be possible on here. If I click on continue, it's going to ask me. Yeah, so we need some payers, we need some settings set up within this particular one. Let me just see if I can. Don't think I will be able to create this particular invoice. We have a couple of settings on here on our demonstration site. But it's exactly the same method as being able to create the quotation. We would create the invoice, we can create the template for the invoice, and then we would send the invoice out to that particular client. And again, the invoice would then appear in the contact. It would then appear associated against this particular deal. And you would have a full, clear picture of what is happening based on this opportunity. So what we would do then, because the invoice has been sent to the customer, we would generally wait for that invoice to be paid. So we would probably close out this activity. We would move it to pending closed. And whilst we're in here, what we can see is as this deal has moved along throughout this particular pipeline, we can now see the value that is associated to each stage. Now this makes it really good in Bitrix because you can clearly see where the bottlenecks are in your sales process. I mean, you might have 20,000 that it's currently sat in the negotiate opportunity stage. You will then know that you need to push your salespeople hard to close out those negotiations based on this particular stage. So once let's just say this inquiry has happened, I can then close it, and after I'm doing it in the Kanban view, I can click on closed, won. We have a required field that is needed to be set, so we can say what is the reason for the win, and let's just say we have better customer service. Click on save, and then that will then close out that particular deal. One of the good things with this is that all your closed deals will drop out of your pipeline in this particular Kanban view here. If you ever want to pull up all your won deals for a particular month, what you can do is you just switch to the list view, and in here what we can do is change the deals in progress to deals won, and then that will pull up all our won inquiries. So you can see here this is the one that we've just won. If I go into the contact, I'll be able to see within the deals, you can see here we have a Bitrix24 training inquiry that has been won. Now, one of the good things that Bitrix gives you is the ability to then move that deal and create a new deal in a new pipeline. And one of the reasons why people do this is maybe it's going to be an after sales process. So let's just say we've done Bitrix24 training inquiry, we've closed it, we've got $800 in the bank for that particular inquiry. Now what we want to do is ensure that our customer service aftercare is on point to ensure that the client is always happy. And what you can do whilst you're in the deal side of things, so if I just click on the Bitrix24 add-on opportunities stage up here, click on sales funnels and tunnels, you can see that we have the top one, Bitrix24 add-on opportunities pipeline. And again, you can see here, unassigned, spoken to, negotiate, opportunity, all the stages that we've just been through. If I just remove that here, just show you what this does. So you can see when I close and win out a deal in this add-ons pipeline, we might have an aftercare. So let's just rename this to after sales process. So Bitrix after sales on here. So all I need to do is click on the dot on the closed and then move it to the first dot on the Bitrix after sales pipeline. And then what you can do is you can set some automation to move through this particular set of stages. So it might be that we say, we'll say this is thanks. We'll say this is 2-week follow-up. And we will say that this is 4-week. And I'll show you how this is done in the automation. Because this is, I feel that this is something that quite a lot of people tend to miss. So if I just remove this one, and then let's just finally remove this one. And we'll just rename this to closed out. So we've saved this, and what we can do now is we can go into that particular, in fact we'll go into the automation rules here, and we'll switch to the Bitrix after sales opportunities. You can see it's fresh, and what we'll do is click on configure. On automation rules here, we'll send an email straight away. So we'll go, thank you for your purchase. We can make this hello, and then what we can do is we can grab the contact that's associated to the deal's first name, taking training, and what we can do, that's all we'll put in this one. But you might be thinking, what happens if the inquiry wasn't training? What we can do is have a condition that maybe we have a field in here. I don't think we do, but we could have a field in here that said opportunity type, and then based on that we will just say it was training. So this email will only send when the field inside a deal is equal to service. Click on send, and then what we'll do is we'll automatically move to the next stage, 2-week follow-up. Okay, so it sends a thanks email, change stage, and then we'll move it to the 2-week follow-up. Then in here we can maybe want to send an SMS message this time. Instead of running it immediately, what we'll do is we'll run it in 14 days. So we'll wait 14 days to send this SMS message. If you have a date field in the deal itself, that's even better, because some people have event dates in a deal, and what you could do is you can say, let's say that we have, in fact this person's bought training, we might have a date field that says first training session. So we could say maybe 5 days before, and then we can find out the training date within the deal. So you can drip feed emails leading up to the training session that has been booked. And that, again, that's quite a common use for these automation rules. In our case, we're just going to wait 14 days and send this SMS. So we could say, hope you enjoyed your training. And we can put, again, we can have access to any field that exists inside the deal, any field that exists inside the contact. So everything that you send is dynamic to whichever deal that this is being run from. So it's quite a powerful tool. Click on send, and then what we'll do is after that, again, we'll change the stage here, and then we'll have a 4-week follow-up. So you pretty much do the same thing in here for client communications. We'll send in their email. Do you need any more training? And then again, we can put whatever we want. If you want to brand up, this particular email, you can do so. Just click on the little visual mode editor and click on source code, and then you can paste in your HTML templates in here. That's the most common way of sending out these emails. You can brand them up and to ensure that everything's on point when you're sending it to the customer. What I'd also recommend is there's this option here that says enable link click tracking. So it might be that you, inside your email, that you would put click here to access Andy's training schedule. And then what we'll do is we'll put here, and then we'll put a link, and then we'll type in the link here. And then instead of this, what we'll do is we'll copy this link, copy, save. As you can see, it's made a link quite easily. Click on save here. And what we might want to do is we might want to, if we put that email, let's just say in this particular stage at the moment. So we've got a link that's saying click here to check out Andy's timetable. And in the trigger point up here, because what we're doing is, I think I've just removed that email, but we are going to check to see whether the client clicks on that link. So we can come in here and say email link clicked. And what I can do is just paste that link in here. Because we're tracking those clicks, what that's going to do is it's going to automatically send the customer the email. If they click on that particular link, Bitrix is going to recognize that click. and it's automatically going to move the deal into this particular stage. Now, it may be that you have, instead of having thanks, 2-week follow-up, 4-week follow-up, you might have another stage in here that's called shown interest, and basically put that email link clicked in the shown interest column. What that will now allow you to do is it will automatically move all the people that have clicked that link in your email that you sent out to that particular client and move them into the shown interest. That way you know then that they've shown, not only have they shown interest, it becomes like a hot lead. So it's something that you should really be doing to tracking those links. So I think that's a good way of moving from one pipeline to another after the sale has been closed out. You can have an after sales opportunities and have something similar to this. This is just an example to show you. So what we've done there really is go through generating a lead, qualify the particular lead itself, and once we've converted that lead into a deal and dropped it into a particular pipeline, again, we've gone through that opportunity process, created a quote, created a deal. You can see all the associations of the quote, of the deal, and they're booking the activity. So hopefully it's giving you an insight into what Bitrix is capable of as an overview. One of the few things that you just need to be aware of if you are using Bitrix at the moment is all of the settings to set it up are in the CRM settings here. I'll just show you 3 main points while we're in here. So you want to obviously be able to configure your CRM. There are lots of tutorials on the Bitrix24 website to do this. If you need any training, obviously I'll put our contact details up at the end. We can have a one-to-one session for me to show you how to set this up. But the main points for yourself to do it, if you click into the CRM settings, start point, this is statuses and drop downs. This is where you set up your leads funnel. This is where you set up your lead sources. And then if we just go through to your deal pipelines, this is where you set up the stages for each one of your pipelines. So if we just go back to the CRM settings here, below that where I was, statuses and drop downs, you'll see deal pipelines. So if I said this, we have add a new pipeline called Bitrix24 Live Inquiries. That will then create that particular pipeline. Then if I refresh this page where we were a moment ago, you can now see that the deal pipeline is here. So then we would set up the stages. And that's how easy it was to set up a pipeline, tailor the sales process for that pipeline. So then you know where to drop those particular leads into. So that's the first 2 main points of going to your CRM settings to set up your statuses and standard fields and also your deal pipelines. The second area that's probably most important is going to be your custom fields. You can create custom fields for any one of the different modules. So obviously you're going to need to store information relevant to your business. So you have information in leads that you need to collect. You can create the custom fields in here. So if I click into here, you can see leads. You can click on add and you have a whole range of different field types you can use. Contacts, companies, deals, quotes and invoices. So whatever information that you need to collect, you can create the field easily and straightforward within one of those particular modules. So status and drop downs, deal pipelines and custom fields. Those are your 3 main points. We had a question earlier with regards to permissions, and it's quite a common question that we get, especially with regards to what the question was about, is how can I make it possible to only view your own leads? So you want your sales agents to only see their own leads. They don't want to be able to see anybody else's leads in the business. But that is quite a common request. So click into permissions here and click on access permissions. And let me just open up leads just to explain how this works. So in leads, what each lead will have is it will have a responsible person associated to it. Okay, so if I just bring this in here, you can see Max Smith is responsible for each one of these particular leads. Let's just change that. So if I click on change here and make Joe responsible, and let me make Joe responsible for one more, just so it's quite clear. So you can see here then we have 2 leads that Joe's responsible for and 4 leads that Max is responsible for. The common request is that I only want Joe to be able to see these 2, and I only want Max to be able to see these 4. So you can only have one responsible person. So that's, as long as you understand each lead has a responsible person, this is what the permissions run off. So if we go back to access permissions here, what we need to do is we need to create a role. Okay, Bitrix will come with a standard set of roles. I do believe it's the bottom 4 here that it comes with. But click on add, and I'll just explain what this means. So you can see down the left hand side we have all of the different modules inside the CRM. Contacts, deals, and each one of the deal pipelines as well, and leads. The question was, how can I see my own, how can you get your sales agents to see their own leads? Click on here and then click on access denied for read. So read is the ability to see them inside Bitrix. Click on access denied and set it to personal. Personal, if you can see your own personal leads, that means you can only see the leads that you are responsible for. Okay, it's quite simple as that. So you can see your own leads, you can see your own and your departments. So this is all being run from your company structure. So your company structure is here. So for example, I think we set this up for you, Kenny, on one of our live sessions. But if you were in, for example, the sales department here, so Katie and David, so you can set permissions based on a particular department within here. So if I was in your department, then we'd be able to see each other's leads. You can set personal department and sub-department, so you'll be able to see any departments lower, and then you can see all, so you can set to all. But with regard to the question that came through earlier, see your own, you can only add your own, so you can only add leads that you're responsible for. You can't select anybody else. You can edit your own, delete your own, and I would always recommend to set export to denied in here. And let's just say own leads. So you click in here, save. And then once we've set that in here, click on add permission, and then if you want, this all depends on how you want to set it up, but if we set this to just the sales team, so the UK office, all department employees, then we can set that to own leads. So that would mean that anybody in the UK office department would only be able to see their own leads. It's just a point on here that you can see there is a lot of permissions. If somebody is in more than one of these particular, whether it's a user, so let's just say if Travis Gilmore was in the UK office department, then, and this particular user role had higher permission structure than own leads, they would always take the higher permission structure. So it's quite important to note. Kenny, I'm not going to have time. I've only got a couple of minutes to show you that. I think if we move that to Thursday's session, I think that would be good. I know you arrived a little bit late, so apologies for that. But this is just with regards to a question that came through earlier with how you see your own leads. So yeah, please do get in touch with us. And again, I can go through this on Thursday if you do have questions about it. But that is essentially how you create a role and you assign it to a group of users, an individual user. And one of the important things is if you don't have access to contacts, for example, so you saw in here, and then this leads on to another common question that we get, is if you've got access denied to contacts, then this menu item will disappear because you don't have access to it. So if you don't want people to have access to invoices and quotes, which is quite a common one because people deal with the financial aspect in maybe a financial package such as QuickBooks or something similar to that, then you can set access denied to those users and it will just drop out of the particular menu up here. So that's quite a useful one. So I guess, I mean, we only have a couple of minutes left, so maybe we have a second part of this session on next Tuesday because obviously the CRM is huge and this session is only for 1 hour. So what we should probably do is on next Tuesday's session is focus on the reporting aspect of sales. So that's quite, it's a very useful area. Obviously, everybody needs to report on what sales have been generated, what's the conversion rate of particular leads, and so on and so forth. And sales targets, so we can have in sales plan, we can set sales targets in here. So on the second session, we can focus on that. And we can also have a look at the tools that Bitrix provides to generate leads. So we have a whole range of different tools. So in our contact center, you can connect up website forms and you can create them inside Bitrix. The telephony, the live chat, social networks. There are a whole range of different methods of generating leads. So we'll have a look at that in the second session. And then we'll also look at how we can market to and filter those particular opportunities as well to mail to. So I mentioned those leads that you've junked. That's quite a good one to send your marketing emails to. As long as they've opted in previously, then you can send them out. Maybe you've got a special offer on for all those junk leads that have no budget. This is how you would then retarget to them on using these different tools. And we can look at how you can report on this kind of method as well. So I've got a question come through, last question. A company sells services under different brands. From an organisational perspective, would you recommend having different departments or different sales pipelines? If you sell services under different brands and you're wanting to use the Bitrix CRM, I would definitely recommend having a deal pipeline per brand. So have a deal pipeline. So create your deal pipelines in the CRM and have a deal pipeline per brand. So as long as you set your permissions up in the leads to be only able to see your own, because I think that was you that asked the question previously, that then segments your leads for people working on those different brands. And then when you create a deal pipeline for each brand, what you can do a little bit further is every time you create a new pipeline, you can then specify the people within that pipeline. So it might be that you have brand A would be for the deal on-premise opportunities. So we would set either personal and department or personal again, but deny them to all the other brands. That would mean that they wouldn't be able to convert a lead into any other pipeline, brand pipeline that you wish. They wouldn't be able to look into anybody else's brand pipeline. So again, it segments it really well. So this is going to be a key area for you in the permissions and creating those deal pipelines for each one of your brands. But that's how I would recommend to separate it. it then just gives you separation throughout your CRM then to be able to split it up for those different companies. Yeah, that's okay. So I think that's, like I say, we'll have in the next session, second part of this next week on Tuesday. Those are our contact details. For those of you that missed the start, my name is Andy and I'm the support manager here at Gold Partners Intraface. If you do have any questions or queries with regards to Bitrix, please do get in touch with us using one of those methods. So US office, UK office and the UAE, those are our local numbers. Drop me an email, you're more than welcome to if you've got any questions, andy@intraface.com. That's INTRE face.com. And yeah, we can help with any questions that you've got, pre-sale support, licensing. We also offer training services and support services as well, so ticketing and telephone support. We have our next live session on Thursday that focuses on any area of Bitrix. So that's any area, tasks, projects, back into the CRM, HR workflows, anything. And that's at 10 a.m. on Thursday. So please make sure you subscribe to the Bitrix24 YouTube channel and you'll get a notification. But thank you very much for your time today, and hopefully I'll see you on Thursday. Bye for now.